Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. And then in Chapter 2, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend that I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in this same place, but it isn't my fault. It takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open and I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. In Chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There's a hole in the sidewalk and I walk around it. And then finally in Chapter 5, I walk down another street.
Right. Hi there, and welcome to Now What? My name is Scott Love, and I'll be your host on this epic journey into the fascinating and mystical. I am joined today by Gail Dolbert, head minister at the Unity of Bay City, and today we're talking about the wonder of wisdom.
Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Reverend Gail Dolbert, and I welcome you to Unity of Bay City, to our wonderful podcast, Now What? Unity of Bay City is dedicated to all those who are seeking to discover their spiritual path and who strive every day to bring goodness and love into our beautiful world. How do we do that? We grow together as we discover and practice positive practical tools for our own personal and collective spiritual growth. No matter where you are on your life's journey, you are so very welcome here.
How you doing today, Gail?
I am well. How are you, Scott?
Not bad at all.
Good.
When I drove in, it seemed like there was a giant looming dark sky, but it seems to have lifted.
Yeah, I got rained on big time. I came in about 9. Golly, it was raining. But, my back windshield, not a drop.
Wow.
I've never seen that. When it rains, it just rains. But, it was completely clear. I kept looking at it going, is it still there?
Wow.
Because it was a deluge coming in on.
It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Life changes and things are going on. A lot of things are going around here. I don't know if you're ready to talk about those just yet. If not, maybe we'll just...
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because it's not like in the bylaws yet,
Okay.
But I really am chomping at the bit.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, look forward to some new and exciting news coming up soon about the Unity of Bay City and how it's going to affect a lot of different things.
Exciting evolutionary stuff.
It is.
Yes.
It's interesting because I was thinking about this. Beth and I were talking, and it occurred to me that this is happening right at a time when the world needs a change and maybe a re-upping.
Re-upping, yeah.
Re-upping. Good. All right, and we're not going to give any more Easter eggs other than that.
That's right. You have to wait.
Yeah.
This week, we're talking about the wisdom of wonder.
Wisdom of wonder.
Yes. And I have a favorite way to start with this is with a little book by Portia Nelson. Been around a long, long time. And she did an autobiography in 5 short chapters. But the prologue to that is, which I really enjoy too, it's very thought-provoking, is, my life has been a series of wonderful experiences. It's a pity I wasn't there for most of them. And isn't that truth? We go through and we get so caught up in our yesterdays and maybe tomorrows that we miss now. So I'm going to read autobiography in 5 short chapters, and we'll take off from there. How about that?
Sounds great.
Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. And then in Chapter 2, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend that I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in this same place, but it isn't my fault. It takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open and I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. In chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There's a hole in the sidewalk and I walk around it. And then finally in chapter 5, I walk down another street.
Right. And that's so many life choices are like that.
So many.
And we have to, for some reason, we have to go through that same pattern of, people call it hard-headedness, obstinance, whatever. Just part of it.
Part of it. And it's that waking up, and that takes some maturity. That takes some, wanting to do things differently.
And humility.
Yeah. It's like, oh, how can I have done this for so many years like this? Walk down that same street and that same sidewalk. And maybe you every once in a while go walk around it, but fall in so many times. But that's the humanity of us. And we have to be kind to ourselves and give ourselves some understanding. There's still healing to be done. There's still apologies to make to ourselves and others. There's still steps to take in our maturing and spiritual growth.
Yeah.
But we do need to give ourselves that kind of that handicap, like isn't that in golf? You get a handicap.
Yeah, based on your specific skill level.
Yeah, your score and whatever.
I heard one time that when it applies to things outside of yourself, it's understanding, and when it applies to you, it's innerstanding. I like that. Innerstanding.
I like that. Yeah, innerstanding, and that's exactly where we need to go. And that because we're so preoccupied with all of the lists and all of the things and even the energies coming into the earth, and our human energy fields commingle all the time, but then you bring in the big earth energy fields. It's funny how we know that the moon affects us. The moon affects the tide, for goodness sakes. And it wouldn't affect us that we're mostly water.
Right.
And so even when we can start recognizing those kind of things, like the atmosphere, like when it's really humid and muggy, I'm just drained of energy. I like cool weather. I'm not a hot weather person, especially if it's humid. Those kind of things affect my energy and my mood.
Right.
And so we give ourselves that.
Thinking back to what you said about the moon, and the word lunatic comes from people being affected by the lunar cycle.
Yeah.
At least originally.
Yeah, the Luna, absolutely. And when I worked in the dental office for 20 years, we knew when it was a full moon because people would come in with toothaches. We did a lot of root canals and all kinds of stuff. So with this very insightful little 5 chapters, we need to ask ourselves, that's where the inquiry comes in. We have to wake up a little bit, just enough to at least ask questions of ourselves, and then maybe find a mentor or whatever kind of coach, psychological or therapist,
right.
Spiritual coach, a psychologist.
Tony Robbins.
Oh, my God.
You can do it.
He is such a bigger than life.
Actually, that's not Tony Robbins. That's from Happy Gilmore or something.
Is it? Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, said he had a radio show, and he said, there is a power in the universe greater than we are, and you can use it.
Nice.
That was his opening of his radio program. And it's true. We can. And that's where our humanity and our divinity need to make friends, because the divinity is always there within us and around us. And we need to take hold of the responsibility for how we recognize that and use it. So if we tend to keep on walking down the same old sidewalk, but the path of the soul's journey is to notice the challenges and use them to transform our energy, not ignore them. Gosh, we're good at that, aren't we? Moving into the observer role, though, is the most powerful tool we have to be an authentic in our perspective of life. It's not embarrassing to be human. We all are human for now. And until we move to that other side, we might as well just try to get to understand our divinity and how that supports our humanity.
You say for now. My hope is that there's a split second just prior to crossing over where I can consciously be like, oh, that's what it was all about.
That's why I did that, yeah.
Right.
I hope so too, because then, it's the mystery. It's the mystery.
Yeah, I don't imagine that we're going to relate to the other side using, obviously we're not going to have, maybe we will, but like all the different senses that we have now that we rely on interpreting information from, that's going to be gone. So it's almost like the information is just going to be like a constant stream of being plugged in.
To spirit, yes. Yeah. And being able to see and forgive, not that's a human emotion, but to see and understand at a level of being on the other side, No more fog on the windows. But we can develop a habit of observing, and even be fascinated by it. It's like, wow, I did that again, huh? And just really get curious, really be in wonder. And that's why I called this the wisdom of wonder, because the more we wonder about things, and we can have moments where there's such golden moments when we can be in awe and wonder by looking at the clouds. I loved to do that when I was a kid, lay in the yard and just make up, with one of my friends, and we'd say, oh, that looks like a rhinoceros. No, there's a horse. That's so, it gives us that gap.
Right. For me, it was as a result of my health things that have been going on. It really makes us pause and appreciate life a little more when someone passes close to us. We pause, and I call it paying attention to green. It's where it's like green now has much more, any color, but I just use green.
Okay.
Or any sound, or it's almost like I have a more tantric-based appreciation for life where I can just pause and absorb everything more. Just be like, green. One of my favorite things to do, you said looking at clouds, one of my favorite things to do is when we're out in the woods, see how many different shades of green I can see.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So. Yes, I love that. And the different sounds of the birds or the sounds of the things, walking through the forest. I love that, hearing the smell. It's just lovely.
Just taking a moment to just really let it absorb in.
And not be anywhere else. You can be walking and not be anywhere in your head. When we pay attention to our thoughts, just for a moment, it's like, gosh, I've been running that same thing all day today.
Right.
About something that happened 3 years ago, or something that happened this morning I just can't let go of.
A lot of people don't want to pay attention to their thoughts, though, because they don't like their thoughts. Their thoughts are, and again, that's where the coaches or the therapist or the psychologist can help you to learn how to train. We're not just victims of our own mind. We can train ourselves with discipline and rewards to...
We must.
We have to.
If we want to evolve spiritually and have a life that's not so hard. Being a human being is tough, and we have tools that we can make it, even if our circumstances seems hard, we can have those pauses, those moments of wonder, and seek those. Yes. And actually, you just don't seek them, you just be open, and all of a sudden, there you are, and you have a gap.
Right.
You have that gap, and you go... can see a little more clearly. Our spiritual nature is to assist our human nature when we let it.
Right.
That's why it abides. Our soul abides within us. It's our booster. It's our. We can give ourselves
like a support
space.
System.
It's a support system. We're born with that. We were born with choice. We were born as creators. And that's really my favorite way to describe the human condition, is that we are creators. Now, it doesn't mean we always create good things, does
Right,
it?
no.
And we know through history, through the history of as far as back as we know, that we don't always create good things. And we create some pretty horrible things. So we get to stop, there's just to reflect and proceed as a new way opens, as a new street develops that has no holes in any of the sidewalks.
Right.
So it's a nurturing presence within us. And so when we take a moment and breathe, when we take a moment and just say, oh, yeah, okay, gosh, I've been holding my breath.
Right.
We don't completely hold it, but we kind of do.
Yeah.
We don't take a nice deep breath in and deep breath out. We just kind of that tense, and we don't allow ourselves that nice big breath. And sometimes people talk about this side of us, of our humanity, as the shadow side. But we need shadow sometimes. We need to, if the sun's shining down in your eyes and you can't see very well, what do? We cover our eyes a little bit with our hand or put glasses on. So the shadow helps us see. And that's that pause.
Right.
It helps us to see. So when we explore that with some curiosity, without the story of being a victim, we can allow the opening, we can heal from that. We can take some healing action that'll support the unwinding of the shadow.
Right.
Because it did help us see, and then when we can see more clearly, we can make different choices.
Right. Unfortunately, I think the shadow has a negative, stay away from the shadow. I don't know if it's because Jung made such a big deal about our shadow selves, but to me, it's like it's more important in many cases when we, like the shadow points out what we need to work on. Mm-hmm. If we didn't have the shadow, then we wouldn't need to do any work. We'd just be light beings floating around, blah, 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 And I've met people that, like, they refuse to talk about any shadow stuff. Everything has to be light, everything. And then they wonder why, there's no grounding in their life.
It's called spiritual bypassing.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And that's become a term because it's like, no, everything's fine, la, 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 la. It's not fine. And I think there's a song in one of the Disney movies that I've watched lately. It's like she's singing, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then all of a sudden she says, I'm not fine.
Right.
Because she's really not. We can say it, we can pretend it, but then that reverberates in our body, in our cells. The body is wisdom, and it reacts to our thoughts too. That's where Louise Hay has done so much brilliant work.
Right.
You look up.
Heal yourself.
Yeah, heal yourself, heal your body.
Yeah.
All her, look up a thing and see the affirmation to use to help shift our awareness, to walk down that other sidewalk. The poet John O'Donohue says, so a question is really one of the forms in which wonder expresses itself.
I like that.
Because don't we pause when we ask a question? We have to consider it. And David Hawkins, now this man, he wrote many books, and one of them, the first one that I read and that I've studied is Power versus Force. It's all about our levels of consciousness. And he has a map that he did of consciousness out of many years of muscle testing and other things. But he said, and I just really love this, change your technique, not your aspiration. The state of consciousness doesn't have to be sought. It is always within us. So change your technique. So with the hole in my sidewalk, her technique was every day she walked down the same sidewalk. Well, she had to change her technique. She walked down a different one. If we belabor things, if we're talking negative talk in our head all the time, seeing the negative of everything instead of trying to find any light, then we aspire to want things. We aspire to want prosperity. We aspire to, make life good, to have a good home and a job and all those relationships. So he says, don't change your aspirations, change your technique.
Right. A lot of people, they will try something, and if they're not successful, they're just like, I'm just going to give up.
Yeah. It's not working for me.
Right. Or I'm not really interested in that. So yeah, change your
technique.
Right. Not your aspiration.
And otherwise your thoughts. Thoughts
Right.
are things, With thoughts backed by feelings, we are powerful creators. For the good of what we call the good and the bad of this world, it's all about our thoughts and our feelings, especially the ones that are deep and held in, the things from childhood that we maybe don't even consciously remember, but our body remembers. And I call that reverberation. It reverberates in our cells and in our organs, and we need to find a way to stop it. Like if there's a rod and it's reverberating based on, you flick something and it just keeps going on and on and on.
Right.
Grab hold of it. Stop it. Stop it. Just for a moment. One of my favorite techniques to change is to just be aware of the wonder and the joy of life. In those fleeting moments, or in those, you don't have to go on vacation, although that's always recommended,
Right.
to someplace you love, but to really and joy is more of a spiritual emotion. It's always in us. So happiness is more fleeting. Joy is deep. So wonder helps bring joy into our lives. Wonder and joy are best friends.
Yeah.
And they're our friends too. So I like that thought, maybe that's just because I watched so much Disney, and so I had little kids, and I'm like, they're your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Make wonder and joy your best friend. Yeah, and pay attention. Pay attention. When you are in the consciousness of joy, you project an energy that affects the growth of the plants and the temperament of animals and even the moods of people that you live and work with. We dwell in this world of rhythm and harmony, and it has limitless potential. We humans, I say, we have so much potential, but then we go, I want to reach my highest potential. Well, do you get stuck there? How about finding what brings you joy in life, right?
Right.
Humankind has a limitless potential within us, a depth of potential that can be discovered and released into our lives. Doesn't that feel good? Discovered what brings me joy? Where's my passion? The moment we wonder at something, at an object or an event, and haven't yet evaluated it as positive or negative, or haven't tried to contemplate whether the thing we wonder, will it be helpful or will it be harmful? We have created a space in our mind for this thing. So when we're in that wonder gap, we haven't started evaluating it yet. We haven't started to figure out, how's that going to help me?
The wonder gap.
Yeah, the wonder gap. And when you're in London and you get on and off the subway, there's a voice that says, mind the gap. Because there's a gap and you can get your foot caught in that sucker and you will be swept away or have a broken ankle. Mind the gap. And so and it's of course in the English with a...
Mind the gap.
Yes, mind the gap, darling. And so those little tricks like that, that's changing your technique, not your aspiration. You realized you were going down the same sidewalk with the big hole in it.
All the time.
And the gap helped you go blah, it's like all of a sudden you wake up. Yeah.
Yeah, a good example, like when I have that experience, sometimes when I'm playing guitar, and it's all about patterns, and it's all about repeating patterns, and sometimes when I'm exploring, I'll get stuck in like this loop, and I'll be like, I don't like the way this feels or sounds anymore, and then I go back and I'll start all over, and then I'll realize I'm doing it again, and then I'll stop and I'll go back over and I'll be, I'm doing it again, so sometimes I just have to put my guitar aside, kind of imagine what it's going to sound like in my head the way I want it to, and then I can go back and it seems easier once I take the moment to stop and think about. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's just keep playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easier and you can turn right instead of left, but sometimes it's not, and that's where we get to again continue to explore. Set aside time for that. You don't have to wait for a turn of happy events, but allow a turn of consciousness into the flow of joy, which will influence all the events. So we don't think of wonder as an emotion, but it certainly is. It opens doors, opens our heart, opens our mind, and we get to walk down that other street. And the things that can bring the most profound experiences are the littlest ones. Just a pause, a breath, a tear, a precious gap of a momentary discovery and wonder are self-transcendent emotions. They help us move away from a focus on ourselves and our own concerns. Boy, don't we get into that little cocoon of, it's only me that's doing this, it's only me, I'm nobody else, is this whatever, as we put ourselves down.
A friend of mine called that chronic uniqueness.
Chronic uniqueness.
Yeah, I'm so special. My problems are special too.
Yeah, nobody's like me.
No.
Yeah, well, that is just such a hilarious joke we play on ourselves, because a sad joke, because we're all so much alike.
Yeah.
If we just can take a moment and realize that you are me and I am you and we are we and
come
we
together.
Yeah, right now. So we'll always need wonder. We'll always need to challenge the preconceived ideas that we have, because familiarity makes us lose our sense of wonder. We need to resensitize ourselves to the world. And I love that understanding and idea. So we always need to wonder and to challenge the preconceived ideas that we have of life, of our own life and life in general. Familiarity, and this is an important point, familiarity makes us lose our sense of wonder. So we get to resensitize ourselves to the world. And because familiarity is something that we humans, we like our routine. We like things to be predictable.
Right.
And we get in there and we get so stuck that even when it becomes painful, we still keep that. And now next week I'm going to talk about that, about a wisdom pattern that we can be aware of to help us when things become familiar. And then all of a sudden they're not. But we still try to ride that same bicycle with a wobbly wheel, that we can understand that there is an order to it when we allow it. So we'll talk about that next week. We begin global change by changing our little corner of the world. We do that by shifting our needs, our fears, and hopes in moments of awe and wonder, not seeking them, but allowing them to be seen, not trying to eliminate or pretend that life can be hard, but to see into it with wonder, with the presence and power that lies within you, always, little by little, or in big or small, beautiful, unexpected moments. The fog of unknowing lifts, the light within us brightens, and we smile as we wonder. Just wonder how it is the sky is so blue today. And in my morning, what a wonder it is to see those dark clouds emit all this beautiful rain that is feeding everything and cleaning everything. It's a wonder, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's a great
example
of how everything is connected. I want to touch on what you said a minute ago about focusing on my little corner of the world. I often think of it as I am a part of a whole. I'm an independent part of a whole, but am I really? Maybe. And so I think of how fractals work and how if I want to impact the whole, really all I can do is do my part. And knowing that if I make a good choice, the whole will benefit, even if it's subtly or unconscious of it, there is going to be a reverberating action. So I think that it's good to think of my choices as being our choices as being a fractal of the whole.
Absolutely.
And that it does reverberate out.
An example of that is the drop of the ocean contains the whole ocean,
Right.
the whole chemistry. The whole chemistry of the ocean is in a drop. And we are a drop in it. We are interdependent. We think we're independent, but we're really not. We're interdependent, and that's a beautiful thing as long as we allow it to be. And we allow for other people's opinions, and we allow for all of these things to evolve, as us.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Gail. I love it. I love how every week I get to come in here on Wednesday and have these little nuggets put into my brain. And it really helps. It's like I could come in here on a little bit of a disgruntled mood, and after our conversations, or when I really notice is if, like Beth and I usually listen to our podcast as we're driving around, or cleaning the house or whatever. There's always time to play it. So we'll just like play it, and I can feel my mood shifting as the episode is going on. Even though I'm the one who recorded it, it's still great information.
It sure does feel good to feel like I've got something that is going to help maybe change somebody's. What I first know is that it changes my mind. It changes my heart. And that's why I do this, because, we have to. George Bernard Shaw said, life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself.
Nice.
And so that's what we're doing. We're co-creating. Thanks, Scott.
Well, thank you so much. And listeners, if you have a chance, please hit that like and subscribe button. It's a very small step to take, but it really helps us out in a big way, because the way it works is the more people who like and subscribe it tells the algorithms, the machines, the robots of Meta or YouTube or whatever, that people are paying attention, and it keeps it in the loop a little bit longer. So if you have a second, please like and subscribe. And you can check out more about Unity of Bay City at unityofbaycity.com. And you can find a list of upcoming events, workshops, activities. And don't forget that if you have an opportunity at 10:30 on Sunday, if you're not in the Bay City area, you can always watch Reverend Gail and the Unity community as part of spiritual services on Sunday. You can find that on the Unity of Bay City Facebook page. All right. Thank you so much. And until next time, have a blessed week.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you.
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.